I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. This is the first time I've ever used any kind of computer headset in my life, so bear with me if it's not working. Excellent.
My dad used to come home.
I did. I thought it was. I was just so impressed with how well written, how well written the last two episodes were. They had a lot to tie in. They had a lot to unpack. You know, knowing that they only had 2 hours left after last week's episode, and to hear, or not to hear, but to see how much they tied in with previous seasons and how they wrapped up all the open storylines they had from this season. I can't give the writers enough credit for how well they did it. Um, of course, the actors delivered their what we've come to expect as very tremendously well delivered performances. Direction for these last 2 hours very heavy on the VFX and all at, at or above the level that we've come to expect from them over 7 seasons. Again, I just thought. I mean, I going into tonight, I really thought they had so much left to tie up, and I didn't know how they were going to do it in just 2 hours, and I was really impressed with how they did it. Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, I I I agree. I saw you post that during the finale in the text chat, and I thought it was an excellent point. It's like, yeah, who in a like you said, in a dystopian like future, basically future wasteland, although it's an enclosed underground wasteland, who's going to be dyeing their hair? So I do think this. I agree with you completely, geek. This is a branched timeline. This is a new timeline where their daughter Alia is not Deke's mother, just because of the way things, different. Well, well, yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and not only that, but I mean, this child, not only did she not grow up in a sheltered, broken world underground environment, she's getting to do stargazing with her parents in a spaceship in space. I mean, you can't have two more different upbringings than that. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Oh, I'm sorry, you meant the people on. Oh, I'm sorry, you meant the people on. Oh, I'm sorry, you meant
Oh,
the people on. That's weird. Oh, I'm sorry, you meant the
oh.
people on. Bummer. Yeah, I don't. Okay, I'm gonna step away for a second. I'm gonna refill my drink, my beverage, my toasting. You know what? I think you're absolutely right on that. I think that her wish for regarding the pod was that they brought back Davis as an LB, and I didn't catch it the first time. And when we were talking in the Discord channel, you said no, that was Piper's, and I think you're absolutely right. Because they even said, who was it? I think one of them said, yeah, but no, but then, but when they were in the speakeasy, they were talking. I think it was Fitz said, or Fitz or Simmons said, uh, Piper is starting to regret her thank you gift, and because because Davis and Piper used to all, I mean, as close as friends as they were, they used to always get on each other's nerves, and they used to like to needle each other. So I'm certain you're right on that. That Davis was just driving that car. He was just a Davis LMD, and he even hinted when he was driving, he's like, "Did you have them bring me back stupider?" And she's like, "No, you were always this stupid." And so I think it absolutely, and I kind of didn't put it together fast enough because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but as soon as you said that in the chat, I'm like, that's absolutely what it is that was Piper's request for guarding the pod with Flint outside the temple, that they brought Davis back as an LMD, and Davis can still be the pilot, or in this case the car driver, for whatever team that he and Piper and Yo-Yo are on. Yeah, different. Yeah, I think it was really good. I do like something that was not. It wasn't subtle because they focused in on it, but something I wasn't expecting is when they started to hint in the conversation at the speakeasy that May. You during the conversation you got you figured out that May was running the Shield Academy. I didn't expect them to rename it the Colston Academy, and I thought that was a very nice little kind of adieu to Clark Gregg and his character over the last 10 years, to rename the new, or to rebrand the new Shield Academy as the Colston Academy. Wasn't expecting it. It wasn't a big point, but it was a nice, very nice little touch. Well, if he's like, well, you know what? If Geek, if he's like Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation, he is fully functional. Conversation. Okay. But do you remember that conversation in the early seasons of Star Trek: The Next Generation when Lieutenant Yar asked? Okay, so yeah, Maria can hear me. So if they can hear me, I can't believe they can't hear you. Oh, wait, yeah. Well, okay. Some people are saying they can. Some people are saying they can't. I'm not smart enough to figure that one out. But yeah. So what I was saying is, if Chronic Coulson LMD is like Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation, then he should be fully functional, and he and May shouldn't have any problems. Now we don't know that for sure, but um, anyway, that was uh, that was my little humor there. Cross for anyone who can't hear Geek. I am not Geek's brother or roommate. I'm a subscriber to the channel, and I am a active member on his Discord server.
You
But
should be able to hear me now, guys. Can you hear me?
all right, he just reworked something. Can you all hear Geek now?
Thank you. I'm really
Okay.
sorry about this, guys. Something was really messed up with the software I'm using here. My apologies. Wow, I just like messed up a lot. I was trying to explain a lot of stuff and trying to respond to a lot of comments. So my bad, and I'm
Yes,
gonna.
Sarah.
I'm,
Sarah, I want May as my teacher too. Yes, I agree with you, Sarah Cansado.
Okay, I'm gonna go through a couple of things that I talked about earlier, and I'm sorry about this technical issue over here, but Nightfall 182. I'm gonna respond to this real quick. You cannot prefer the season 5, all due respect to your opinion, of course, but you cannot prefer the season 5 finale over this finale just because it didn't line up with the MCU. You're just saying that you don't care. I know you do, but I'm just explaining this bit from my perspective. You cannot say you don't care for this story to wrap up well and wrap up decently, and you don't appreciate a good ending and a good story just because it didn't tie into another story. I mean, I don't give a rat's ass about that other story, in my opinion, if this one did the job well in the end and wrapped up correctly. Someone already explained the Piper part to Gamer Girl. I think Thanosian also talked about it, and you could hear him, so I don't need to go through that again. One other thing, they weren't in the future in season 5 during the snap. They were in the present because we did hear about Thanos attacking from the Confederacy. Said that is not true. Seeing Lola again was brilliant, Gamer Girl. And the response to the whole Coulson and May ending up together, Coulson isn't human like Peter mentioned. So, yeah, I'm not really sure the parts of the Chronicom LMD would work the same way as a human being. So that wouldn't have worked. But at least they have this kind of connection there. And May has made her peace with him being this made out of tech. So basically, they're more on a friendly basis right now, and it's a little bit more platonic, I'd say. The Coulson Academy bit melted my heart. The entire episode really melted my heart. These are things that I've said before, but apparently no one heard me, so I'm really sorry again about that. It was all beautiful and well felt. I know a lot of people are saying this was, or some people are saying this is not fair to Deke, what happened to him in the end. Actually, I think Deke is enjoying it. Deke is now the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., so that's going to be one hell of a messy timeline. Sorry, Thanosian, go ahead.
Deke is living his best life.
I know.
I mean, think of it. He gets to be the rock star of the 80s who wrote and sang and performed all the greatest 80s hits because he knew them beforehand, and he's the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't feel bad for Deke in the least. I mean, he scored twice-fold what everyone else scored in the ending. I mean, he is. Yeah, okay, Dan K just said it. What Deke did was such a Deke thing. Yeah, that was absolutely Deke 101, right in his wheelhouse. He can't be happier. He is happier than a pig in shit right now. He is so on top of the world in that timeline.
I might have missed this part, but let me know, Thanosian, if I've missed it. There was that one S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, female S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. She's the one who was like something about killing the lady, the one with the long hair and the eyeglasses. Yeah. Did they ever mention who it is? Because
I never heard them mention her.
But it was obvious with the way that May looked at her that she is Victoria Hand, right?
Yeah, very obviously Victorian. It may have even been the same actress, and they made her look younger. But I think it's
no. I don't think so. I don't think so. The voice is kind of different, but yeah, she is a Victoria Hand. So that's also a little bit out of season 1. I really thought we would see a young Nick Fury from that other timeline, but apparently that agent, that African American agent, I thought it would be him, but then he wasn't, and I was really, I wasn't really happy about it. Not unhappy as in I hated it. Okay. I just wished it would be true, because that would have been a funny scene for Coulson if you think about it.
It would have been a very awkward scene for Coulson.
Like, hey, you used to be my boss. Now I'm the one leading this entire situation. I'm the one calling the shots. It's kind of funny.
You were my SO. You were my boss, and now I'm telling you what to do.
And now I'm older than you.
Much older. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, it would have been a good pun on Captain Marvel as well, like, because Coulson was new then, and Nick Fury was the superior officer, the old guy in there, and then now it's the other way around. Nick Fury's probably the young guy new to S.H.I.E.L.D., and then Coulson is the older guy. So that would have been a cool reference to what we got to watch on Captain Marvel. Now, another thing I want to mention, because of all the people who are not really happy about the part with Agents of
Not
Sword or
time.
whatever. We've got the Quantum Realm. This is something I mentioned while my voice was not coming through. We've got Agents of Sword with Agents of Sword. We've got
They
sorry,
left it
we've got
open.
the Quantum Realm, and with Agents of Sword, there's the possibility that you can move people around across timelines. So that's a fun part, because the other timeline now does not have a Daisy Johnson, the original timeline, because they moved out of that. The original timeline does not have a Yo-Yo Rodriguez, a Leopold Fitz, all of that stuff. So it is possible that they could always jump in and pull these people out of this timeline. They could work it out at some point. Once again, I don't care. I really don't care. I wouldn't evaluate this story. Her name was Laya, by the way, Zainab. But I wouldn't really care. I wouldn't really care how they tie into the MCU or not, because in the end, they did a great job with the finale. Whether they come back on another series, I'd hope for it, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm not going to be sad about it. I wished we would see Nick Fury at the end, but I've said it repeatedly on all my videos over the past week. Guys, ground your expectations and appreciate a story for what a story is, and appreciate an ending for what an ending is supposed to be, not for the twisted idea that for some reason the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie side is, for some silly reason, a lot of people think it's superior, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should grovel behind it. And the truth is, they shouldn't, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had a limited budget over the years, nothing like what the movies get. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had a limited roster of characters to work from. It's basically the scraps that Kevin Feige throws them, that Marvel Studios throws them. Like, you're allowed to use this and just that. You're not allowed. In the end, they had to create kind of their own villains in a way. Nathaniel Malick is not really out of the comics. The Chronicoms are similar, but not really to some stuff. Like, for example, the face tech makes them a little bit similar to Skrulls, etc., etc., but they're not exactly comic book villains, and they had to do that because they had limited options. They had to just, kind of they basically had to
They made do with what limited
take
comic
advantage
material
of what they
had,
have got and make
and then
something out
writers
of it.
and
So
the writers use their own creativity. Now, I don't know if you saw it the other day, earlier this week, or in the last week or so on the Discord server, but there is a anarchist, a anarchist.
okay, try.
I'm not really, but yeah, like Chronicom and anarchist combined, and they were like basically a time traveling villain and mitigation enforcement, and somebody just brought that up in the Discord server. I want to say just a few days ago, and I had not heard it to that point. And so I think Gamer Girl said she signed off and went to bed. She's going to listen to the rest of it tomorrow.
I wanted to give her the wrench over here, so I just gave it to Maria. So Maria, any stupidity in the comments, feel free to just click
Maria,
on.
She said the Time Division. Yes, the Time Division of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was an offshoot of S.H.I.E.L.D. And in the Discord server chat, somebody shared a comic panel where they had it was a comic still, and it was basically in the foreground. It was two shadowed foreground members that looked a lot like Maria Hill and Nick Fury, and they were talking to several characters in the background, one of which they addressed as Dr. Banner, meaning Dr. Bruce Banner, and that Time was the Time subdivision of S.H.I.E.L.D. was developed to combat these chronarchists who were trying to maliciously affect the timeline. So, and I had not heard that at all. I had not heard that on any of the social media or the Discord channels that I belong to or interact with. And I thought that was a nice deep dive. I had never heard it before. So, and basically what it sounded like, based on the one or two panels that were shared, is that the writers of the show kind of loosely based the Chronicoms on that race.
One other thing that I want to respond to here, the whole idea of LMDs, by the way, it's not Nunez. It was there in the comics, so I don't see it as a huge issue that they're not really resurrecting people with LMDs. Like I said, for example, Coulson could not end up with May because he's an LMD now, but the idea is really not novel to the series. It was there in the comics. Another thing that I read over here is about Nathaniel Malik. I think Nathaniel Malik's death over here was a reference to two things. It was a reference because Daisy ended up floating in space, and probably Nathaniel Malik as well. So pretty much that's a reference to Graviton at the end of season 5. And also the shattering of that entire thing is a reference to the shattering of the Earth, which was what we watched on the first arc out of season 5. So it was a cool... They kind of paid homage to almost every single season over the course of the season. This episode, though, did go all out, like crazy all out.
Well, I think Nathaniel was destroyed when Daisy power quaked him back into that pod cell that started the explosion of the ship. Polyhexagonal dome things that were in the core of the Chronicom ship. So if she quaked him back into like basically a small atomic reactor, I believe he was powder before the. My personal opinion, and I'm not saying I'm right because I'm usually wrong about these things. I think he was space powder before the ship even exploded.
Possibly or probably, but yeah, I loved that entire bit from the finale. Like it paid homage to every single season or almost every single season. By the end, it gave us Lola as well, and I loved seeing Lola again. That was one of my favorite moments.
I loved seeing Lola rebuilt. That was such a cool gift from Mac to Coulson.
Yep.
Such a cool gift.
Yeah, I know. I was just like it was beautiful. But yeah, what else? There was a lot of stuff. The Quantum Realm mentioned, that's a direct reference to the MCU. That gives us hope that at some point we could get more out of this. They did a good job of wrapping things up satisfactorily, or more than satisfactorily. I mean, everyone got a very cool ending. And anyone got the feeling that Fitz was so like a mix of Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, even Hank Pym, like he was a mix of a lot of stuff, like talking about seeing all those other outcomes. That's basically Doctor Strange on Avengers Infinity War, and then building this machine or being there for all of it. That's pretty much
Tony Stark, very Tony Stark.
Very Tony Stark.
Traveling through the quantum realm is very Hank Pymish. No, you were right on that. He did embrace,
or at least the way he explains it to them as well, by the way, when he walks in, that's very Scott Lang on Endgame, like when he comes out of it, except this one understands how it's going to work. Scott Lang didn't really understand how it's going to work. He was just throwing out...
I didn't understand anything when he came out. No.
Yep.
Something else, and I mentioned this, I think you and I talked, I don't know if you were in the voice chat during the finale on the Discord server when I said this, but there was that brief scene in the first hour of the finale between Coulson and May when they're kind of sitting there in the hallway and they're talking. It's like, we're different people, yeah. But then Coulson goes, but I like who we are now.
Yeah.
And it was not just a callback to their previous relationship, both as friends and as where they were at the end of season 5, but it just kind of made you think, and it kind of left things open for if they ever. I mean, I don't expect there to ever be any future follow-ups. I mean, to be honest, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm not expecting to see this crew in any other medium again. At least not this whole crew. And I have kind of suspicions if we're going to see any of the crew in any future medium.
Agreed.
But in typical May and Coulson fashion, they're just kind of like, we're just kind of going to go along with it and see what happens. And she even kind of hinted at it to him again at the speakeasy when they're doing the virtual chat. It's like, you should stop by.
Yeah.
That was not. I don't think it could have some of that good scotch.
Yeah, like you've been missed, and we can even though they probably couldn't have a relationship, they could end up like being the good old Coulson and May. Before the relationship there was friendship, so they could do that. I mean, for the relationship started being hinted sometime in, like, excessively hinted, to be clear, sometime around mid season 4 or early season 4, when she was switched with the LMD version
Yeah.
by Radcliffe. So basically, for 3 seasons they were friends, and it was solid. And even after it was hinted, they kept going for like 2 years, a season and a half, or almost 2 seasons, before that kiss happened during the Confederacy attack, when they went to get Coulson back from the Confederacy ship. So it is possible that you could go with the friendship ending, and it's a good ending in the end. Like, I watched the 100, sorry, I keep saying the 100, it's the 100, and I review it. And my biggest problem with the CW series in general, and with CW fans in specific, most of them, is that everything has got to be about a relationship. And I was like, two people on a series, male, female, whatever it is, could end up by the end of the series not being in a relationship. I mean, people could still be friends and have a strong friendship, and that's what I like. Coulson was a teacher in season 4 in the framework, and that's a fun thought when it comes to the Coulson Academy. It's possible actually that this was partially a reference to Coulson's long history with Shield, but also to that. Let's not forget that starting the academy, the Shield Academy, was actually something that Coulson was dreamt of, like wanted to do before he died, and that's why when they bring in, I keep forgetting his name, the doctor on season 5 that they
Benson.
sorry
Dr. Benson.
Benson, yes, Marcus Benson, right? That was the name, Marcus Benson. So when they bring in Benson on season 6, they basically want him to start Shield, and they do talk about the fact that this was something that Coulson wanted to do. So recreating the academy, or bringing the academy back up and calling it the Coulson Academy, that's also a nod to that. I know, Peter. Everything on the CW ends up the 100, though. Just to mention this before we continue, I'm sorry, Thanosian. The 100, though, is something that started in that fashion, and then same applies to the Flash, in my opinion. But the 100 started very young adultish, teenager-ish, and then it switched to something better. So that's why I review it now. I didn't review it before the 6th season, but then I started because I started liking it. But I started liking it more. I started liking it around halfway season 4 or 3. But
I have not started the 100 yet, but
you're gonna be in you're gonna be in hating the first season probably. By the way, just to let you know, because cool, it's it's not our age kind of thing. I mean, and in my and then I wasn't liking it because it was not my age range kind of thing, but I watched it anyway because everyone was saying it's the shit. So every episode I was watching, I was like, okay, it's gonna be better, it's gonna be better, it's gonna be better. And then by the time you're done with the first season, you're like, okay, I've gone so far, let me try the second season, it might get better. It did get better, but it did get better slowly. And then you find yourself on season 4 or 3, and you're like, oh shit, I'm stuck with this, and then it gets better. So you end up being happy. So that's the thing. Agents of Shield, and this is one thing I gotta say now, even though I'm probably ending this still, we've got 20 to 30 minutes possibly, but I'm gonna say this before I forget. Agents of Shield is one of the best TV series of all time, in my opinion. Maybe not just because I'm a comic book fan, but also it's because it had it all. You know what I mean? It had the emotions. I mean, you can build emotions in the movies, and you do. And I love the movies, by the way. But they had the time. They had 22 episodes a season for 5 seasons. And then they had 13 episodes a season for 2 more seasons. And even though season 6 was not their best, I'd say season 6 was better than anything on, let's go back to the CW, on the CW, the Flash, Arrow, in their current state. That like their worst season is better than any of the things running on any other comic book show. And it still means you're just having a cheap movie that just has someone. I was never a fan of Van Damme, for example. I mean, I might have liked 1 or 2 movies when I was younger, but when I watch something of his right now, I'm like, really? I mean, you don't get that emotional attachment to things. but it had to have what it had. It had to have the comedy because these are regular people. They're going to laugh. They're going to make jokes. It had to have the emotions because, these are regular people who feel, and they managed to make us feel. And unfortunately, yes, this is the last of Jeff Loeb's era. Sorry. It is sad because S.H.I.E.L.D. was his best work as well. I mean, Runaways went down the drain by season 3. Cloak and Dagger was good for the first couple of seasons that it ran, and it was getting better, actually, but it was no Agents Men related that ended up running on FX or Fox like The Gifted or Legion. That was his work. Again, they were really good, but they were not on par with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was something beautiful. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Was something different, and I'm hoping for the best when it comes to all the stuff that Marvel Studios is gonna produce, but I'm a little bit skeptical because in the end, if I was in Kevin Feige's place, and I'm my job, by the way, during the day, I'm a finance guy, so when I think, I'm thinking the bottom line, and if Kevin Feige is looking at the bottom line and thinking the bottom line, he's going to spend too much on the series, he's going to spend too much on the movies, but the movies are the ones that are actually going to make the big bucks. So I'm always thinking over here, in order for him to make the right amount of big bucks out of the movies, he's probably he's gonna make great series, but they're not gonna give us the attachment we had to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because in the end, he's gonna use them to serve the movies more than them being, more
than serve the fans.
More than them being he's gonna serve the fans by the movies, but the series are gonna serve the movies. But that's just my opinion. I think they're gonna be great still, but I don't feel they're gonna be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. great. I don't know if anyone agrees with me. Like I said, I'm still hoping I hope they're even better, because right now I'm thinking, am I ever gonna watch a comic book series that's gonna get me attached this way? And I feel the answer is no, but I hope the answer ends up being yes somehow.
I'm with you on that one. I hope for the best. I hope that the future series that we get from Feige and on Disney Plus, for as far as Marvel comics goes, or Marvel TV goes, is that we are going to get as invested and have that emotional attachment to the characters. But I mean, I agree with you, because I don't think that I feel like I am more emotionally invested in these characters that we've followed for 7 seasons than I am in not just any comic book TV show, but any TV show. I mean, and again, I'm like you. I'm an old school comic book fan, growing up with them, and I'm an older guy, so I mean, I have decades invested in them. And these characters are not from my comic book past, but I still have that comic book origin, the comic book fan origin behind me. And the writers and the directors and the actors for the show for 7 seasons they've brought me in, they've reeled me in with their writing, their directing, and their performances, so that I was emotionally invested in all of these characters and their stories and what happened to them. Where Bobby and Hunter leave the show, I can't tell you how many times I've rewatched that, and damn near every time I get a little choked up about it, because it's such a well done scene and they were such beloved characters. Because the show, even at season 3 or midway through or 3/4 way through season 3 at that point, had pulled me in and gotten me to invest in these characters, these stories, and these personas. And this season was nothing short of that. I mean, obviously Phil's goodbye at the end of season 5 was another emotional moment. The way how
True.
well done that was,
Yeah.
how well written it was, the not just the directing and the writing of it, but also the dialogue. I mean, I think this show over the course of
Itself into something great in the end. I mean, they created a finale, and then they created another finale for the series that was even more amazing than the first finale for the series that they've created. But I'm going to ask one question, and I want on a count of 3 everyone to write the word that comes to their mind. I'm going to do the same after we count to 3. Me and Thanosian can do the same over here and say the word. What do you think? I want to see if we're all going to agree on this. What do you think is the funniest word uttered this season? So 3, 2, 1, moist. Okay, I would have said moist. Moist,
Okay, yeah.
definitely
No,
moist.
moist is a tough one to beat, but I would have gone with phlebotinum just because it was just a goofy word.
Moist was freaking amazing. Like moist. Coulson was just brilliant in that scene. Phlebotinum was also good, but moist. I mean, come on.
The thing was, is like Coulson went he kind of went hard in the paint. He went kind of full to the goal line with moist, moist,
And then
moist.
you've got that other thing. The entire scene actually was funny because the way Simmons was beautiful. Cronny Bomb was good, but was not funny. I think the real funny one was, moist. Like that was unexpected. That was beautiful, and I loved every bit of that. So I think I think it was a beautiful finale, guys, and I hope you all enjoyed it. He's been blocked and blocked completely from the channel, but I think the finale was beautiful. I think it was amazing. I think they did a great job. I think we have closure, like we know where everyone went. And I love the ending for Deke. Like I mentioned, it was beautiful. I mean, he's living in Deke heaven right now. I mean, that's gonna be, if there's a series that I want to see in the future, it's a series where Deke, because of knowing science but still being the same weirdo Deke that he is, ruining that timeline as director of Shield. And he probably really messed up that timeline. Like that
Oh
would be
God,
one messy timeline.
that timeline is going to be an absolute shit show. I mean, just
It's
an absolute mess.
it's not sad though, Mike. He's basically enjoying it. Did you see that? Like his eyes just sparkled the moment they talked to him about him being the one in control now. He's won the lottery over there. Deke has hated that they took away his company. They were like, "Why are you using the shield tech that you stole?" Yada yada yada. And it was brilliant. He stayed back in that timeline. Everyone left. He's sitting there, and he's the director of Shield. He's gonna be in charge. He's got it on a silver platter, and hell, on a golden platter.
He's got everything he ever could have possibly wanted, except Daisy. And well, let's be honest, he was never going to get Daisy.
They weren't a good fit anyway. I never felt
No,
they were a
weren't.
good
They weren't.
fit anyway. I mean, it was there for fun, nothing else. But Nazi, he's not stuck in a dystopian timeline because this timeline is indeed fixed by them taking the Chronicom ships with them. So it's not really dystopian. It's just one where Shield is going to rebuild, and Deke is going to be the one to rebuild it. So, yeah. I love how that is left to the imagination because you can imagine like a zillion different scenarios with Deke and what he did. And I love how not Chloe Bennett, but Daisy was like that scene at the very beginning with Mac telling her and Deke, and she's like, sure, that was funny as well. I think it was both foreshadowing and the pun as well on what they do with him in every comic book panel. They like teasing one another, and Deke is that character that they tease.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and those of you on the YouTube channel don't know this, but on the Discord channel or on the Discord server that Geek hosts, they do. I have not been the biggest Deke fan since they introduced him. This I thought was by far and away his best season and his most redeeming season and his most interesting season. But that being said, if they were going to lose one quote-unquote team member, I was perfectly happy and perfectly ready for it to be Deke. And again, that's nothing against Deke. And if you watched the Agents of Shield cast goodbye to fans, Deke even said it in the beginning of his little spiel. I was like, thank you guys for welcoming me, and for some of you that meant that you hated me because that's the way I was supposed to be. He said it. He admitted it right there. Is that, he was introduced. His character was introduced to be kind of an annoyance and kind of be disliked by the traditional fans, at least at first. And I think that was not just self-awareness and not just knowing what he is or who he is, but I thought that was really well done. And so, yeah, I mean, I can't agree with Geek enough on the fact like Deke is going to be happier in 1983 as the world's greatest rock star,
As
and
a
the
god,
director of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
basically.
and the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he'll probably rebuild his tech company to make tons of money. He's going to be happier and better off than anyone is who went back to the timeline the rest of them went to.
Let's respond to one of the comments real quick. Just imagine, does Deke rename the bases and Deke lack names, or do they resurrect the normal names? Shield is one big Deke Industries. I think, Hunter, I wanna respond to your comment here. I don't think that he's just gonna rename them in Deke like names. I think like every Shield base is gonna be one big disco ball. That's what I genuinely think with Deke. By the way,
I think everything's gonna have a bad like 80s reference code name.
And all the patents Deke is gonna file.
Like one of them is gonna be like the Breakfast Club. That's going to be like the code name of one of the locations, and I can't feel bad for Deke at all. I cannot, because I think of all the team members, he ended up on top of the world.
He did. It was a beautiful finale. I mean, at first
I didn't expect them to leave Deke in an alternate timeline. I'll be honest. I mean, again, I'm horrible at predictions, but I did not expect.
I didn't expect it either.
I didn't expect anyone to be left in an alternate timeline.
A lot of people actually were. A lot of people were actually expecting that this is the last time for the team together. Because, well, there were two expectations. That statement from the trailer was about, as S.H.I.E.L.D., they're going to be sword. And I was like, that's a silly statement to make with tears in the eyes and whatnot. So it's not. However, when they said that, it was true on so many levels because they'd leave Deke behind. But Deke was never really, that member of the team for so long. I mean, he's a member of the team this season. Last season, he wasn't even for the majority of the season, or for a big part of the season, a member of the team. But
since he was introduced, he's been largely an auxiliary.
But a lot of people expected that they're gonna be separated in different timelines, and I was like, no, that's not gonna happen. I didn't though think of Deke being the one left behind. Like Deke was, that was funny.
Totally agree.
And I did like how Sousa kind of offered first, because that's like sort of like, the sacrificial Sousa makes you think of Avengers. Like, they're nodding to the fact that the actor was used in Avengers in a way, in my opinion. Like, they're just saying, there was a cop that sacrificed himself.
Two moments in MCU history. One where in Captain America: The First Avenger, where they threw the dummy grenade on the ground and skinny Steve Rogers jumped on it.
Yeah.
And then secondly, in Avengers 1, where Steve Rogers is talking with Tony Stark, he's like, "You're not the guy to lay down on the wire, let the other guy crawl over you." I got both of those kind of feelings from Sousa saying, "I'll go because I'm the man out of time. I've had a second chance. I'm good."
Yeah.
But I did like Deke's response. It was like, Danny Boy here is still impressed by a light bulb. That he doesn't have the knowledge to operate the tech that we need. I thought that was great and classic Deke at the same time.
Nazi, I think the idea of the whole thing is that they are actually working together, because it's just that Mac is on the helicarrier and Yo-Yo's on the ground doing missions, but they're still both in S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think they probably end up going home to one another. They're still in a relationship anyway, so I don't think they like.
I also agree with that.
Yeah, and probably they end up on missions together, just not on a daily basis sometimes. And besides, you wouldn't expect the director to be on the ground all the time. Like he's it's more of a managerial role. He's going to be on the ground, but not all the time. It's important to be the guy up top monitoring everything. So I love the helicarrier, yeah, Caleb. So it was beautiful. My funniest line tonight was, and in Deke's timeline, the Chronicoms probably killed Peggy Carter. Agreed. So I don't know why that was important, but I thought, yes, he is the new Fury. Sorry, go ahead.
The slight nod to the Fury trench coat. It's not the same trench coat, but the same kind of look was.
Yeah.
I thought that was double tough. I liked that a lot. I mean, it wasn't subtle because it was more overt than it was subtle. But since it wasn't exactly the same, it had that same kind of feel, and I liked that. I liked that a lot in Grocery Man.
I don't know what Mac was doing in Moscow, but at first I was like, it's possible that they're just trying to remind us that there's a Black Widow movie coming up. It is possible. However, it's not. It's definitely not a reference to that, because in the end, the Black Widow movie happens before the events of Avengers, because, well, Natasha Romanoff died on Avengers Endgame. But it is possible that that's really what's meant there. Okay. I wonder what would happen if the Chronicoms met Thanos. I'm not really sure.
I think Thanos would turn them all to dust in a second.
Yeah.
I think he'd see them as a threat and just wipe them off the map wholesale with one wave of the gauntlet.
Oh, I did love how May used her abilities in the end to kind of give all these Chronicoms empathy. That was brilliant, by the way. That was actually, like, I was waiting for the big play on... I was waiting for the big play on giving May powers, and that was brilliant.
Such a good use of May's empathy and Cora's power to just wash out the entire Hunter protocol of all the Chronicoms that were on at the lighthouse. I thought that was
beautiful.
I never saw that coming, and I thought that was just beautifully written.
Yes, Caleb, I think we might. I don't think we will, but I think we might. There's always the chance. Never say never. I mean, after Avengers, the first Avengers movie, we never thought we'd see Coulson in the movies again. But then they made Captain Marvel, and we did see him. And like I said, with the quantum realm, it is always possible to pull other people into S.W.O.R.D. somehow. I'm not going to say it's a great chance, but it is a chance, even if a 0.1% chance, not even a 1%, but it is still a chance. There was a small reference to S.W.O.R.D. because what Daisy is doing over there is basically sword work, along with Sousa and Cora, yes. What did she say? He referred to it astral ambassadors. Was it astral? Yeah, astral ambassadors. So that's what they're referring to it at the moment. They don't want to use sword, but then
and that's a callback to season 1 when Coulson's trying to get Ward on board to be the welcoming wagon. They're basically the interstellar welcoming wagon now.
Yep.
So they recycled that kind of thought process from the pilot, actually.
Yep. So a lot of things. I didn't say everything that I've got to say about the episode. There's a lot more to talk about, a lot more to mention. I've got my notes ready. I'm gonna do another rewatch just to catch anything I haven't noticed during the episode before I post my review. But I'm gonna be posting my review, say in 9 to 10 hours from now. I'm going to be doing the same with the 100 around the same time. With the 100, sorry, not the 100. I don't know why I insist on calling that the 100. I'm a numbers guy, so I'm a finance guy, like I mentioned. So I have my way of saying numbers, and I don't care if it's the name of the series or if it's meant to be the 100. So it's 100, 200, 300. That's what I say, and that's what I do. But anyway...
Geek, before we sign off, I want to touch back on one last thing. I think I was just coming back from refilling my drink when you were touching up on it. You were talking about how a lot of the other shows, namely in this case we were talking about the CW shows, were relationship centric, and they kind of sometimes push the relationship above the
story.
For lack of a better phrase, the good of the show, whether it be the story or the character development. I will say this. In the show Arrow, I thought one of the strongest scenes in that show's entire run was almost a counter relationship thing, and that's when the original Laurel was dying on the hospital bed, and she tells Oliver that
it's always been him.
I know I'm not your true love, but you've always been mine.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the strongest scenes they had.
It wasn't because it came naturally and they weren't pushing it all the way.
So organic, because they were always pushing the Oliver Felicity angle.
Yes.
But she came back with that brutal, subtle but brutal comment. It's like, I know I'm not the love of your life, but you've always been the love of mine.
Yeah.
That was like almost. It was not just a great scene, but it was almost just, it just
Yeah, it
gut
was
wrenching.
heartbreaking. I'd say, and it does. This is the beauty. I think Agents of Shield, and that's why Agents of Shield, because they always do that.
Yes.
It's why they build relationships best. And I don't usually ship. I'm very I'm
I know
very
you don't.
much angry at all the people shipping the Belark thing on the 100, but I've always managed to ship Fitzsimmons and loved that ship because the way they built it over the course of
So organic.
and the way they built it over 3 seasons, like how much they care for one another, how much they love one another, but they never really say it. And then in the end, they end up saying it at some point. They end up getting into the relationship, and they show you that they care about one another. And it all starts with Fitz having this little crush on Daisy at the beginning of season 1, and then it develops into something better with Fitz and Simmons. By the end of season 1, you can tell that these two were destined together, but they don't really do it. And yes, heading into a nebula, by the way, was a good reference. I forgot to mention that. I'm going to mention it on the review anyway. But circling back to my point, the way they built that, even the Phil Coulson and Melinda May relationship, that was built brilliantly because it was organic over the course of so many seasons. They didn't just take a chunk of a single season and build it up and then focus on May or Coulson, bitching at each other. They didn't do that.
They didn't slap you across the face with it awkwardly.
Exactly. So you ended up loving it, even talking about Daisy and Sousa, which felt so quick to me at some point. The way it was eased in through the loop, like it's not
Yes.
the fact that
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was not overt. It was
Exactly.
They kind of gave us some hints earlier.
Initiated the kiss. It was actually Daisy.
Daisy.
And that makes a certain sense because she's been stuck in this loop for a while. So when she initiates it, it's understandable. She's been stuck here, and he's been, trying to help her every single time without asking questions, without understanding. He's for her. She's looking at him and like, okay, you know what, the perfect guy. I don't need to be sad anymore about losing Lincoln. And live in solitude forever. There's someone I'd like to be with. So they kind of built it well. Go ahead.
He was the anchor that she needed.
Yeah.
She's always been kind of a free spirit and kind of goes off the reservation and has her emotional moments and kind of goes ballistic. She needs, and Lincoln couldn't provide that because Lincoln wasn't stable enough. Ward couldn't provide that because he was two-faced in every sense of the word. So this is the first time she's ever had a guy who was into her that was willing and able and just by nature to be that rock, to be that anchor point for her that she could tether back to and still be her kind of erratic emotional self, but she still had this stabilizing point with him.
To respond to Mike in the chat, 1 second. Raina said Daisy would be the one to lead the Inhumans, and now she's not doing that. Actually, Mike, in a way, they're possibly, or I'm assuming they possibly saved all the Inhumans. So in a way, she might be possibly lead. Question. Go ahead, Thanosian. I'm sorry, it's just some comments just hit me.
I was totally just agreeing with you. I said, yeah, Raina said that, but then subsequently Daisy did get to lead the Secret Warriors, like that Inhuman force. But no, I was just saying that, all the other guys that have that Daisy's been into, they could not provide her with what she needed, and what she needed was someone who was literally, for lack of a better phrase, just boring and stable. And that is Sousa in spades. That is absolutely what he is. And so I think in the time loop is kind of when she realized that hey, I've never had a guy supporting me like this who also is just this square and this stable and, for lack of a better, and in her mind probably this boring. But she realized that's what's best for her, and that's what she needed all this time. So I thought that was pretty cleverly done. I mean, they kind of hinted at it, and then they kind of backed off, and then they hinted at it again, and then during the time loop, they kind of made it a little bit more overt where she went in for that kiss. But I thought it was very nicely reciprocated tonight when she's getting ready to go off by herself, and he's the one that initiates the kiss. Although, I mean, he already had that conversation with Mac, and Mac's like, dude, she's into you. you better strap in and be prepared for this because it's going to
Yeah.
happen. So, I mean, Matt gave him that talk, but at least Sousa, to his credit, for being a guy who is, for lack of a, for not having any other word for it, boring or straight.
Yeah.
He went for it, and I think Mac's like, well done, and so anyway, that's all I was going to say. I didn't have a problem with the
Daisy.
And Sousa relationship this season because I didn't feel like it was.
It was a little bit rushed, but then the way they did it and the way they smoothed it in through the loop, it was cool. And then it took some time as well for Sousa to actually come around to the same conclusion by the end of the season. So that was good. They needed to give her a good closure, considering what has happened to her before. Another thing to consider over here is, Rock and Dragon. So she's 32 now, let's say, because Events of Season 6 happened 1 year after 2019, so that's 2020, and they extended over the course of, let's say, almost a year. So it's basically 32, 33, something around those lines. So there are a few time jumps along the way as well. So that considers she's probably 32 to 34, Daisy. But circling back to the point, yes, I agree with you. It was done smoothly. It was done beautifully, actually. So even that, I wasn't so much rooting for it.
I was because I wanted her to find some dude.
Exactly.
And I think Peter mentioned it in the chat on YouTube. Daisy needed "quote unquote" boring and straight in her life, and that's one of the reasons that she was always close to Coulson. And if you think about it, Sousa's kind of a Coulson-esque in his
true.
His duty bound, straight ahead
morality, type of persona. I mean,
also closer to her age than Coulson is. So
yes,
I had no problem with it.
One final thing I want to say over here, guys, we're gonna be starting a weekly live viewing of Agent Carter on our Discord server. Like we get together and we start watching together and all of that stuff, and then we're gonna do the same for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after we're done with Agent Carter from seasons 1 through season 7. Every single episode. So if you want to join us on Discord at any time, the details are in the description of all my videos, actually, including this one. So if you ever, and it's there on my community page, I'm going to post it later. I'm going to refresh a new one as well for my review video tonight, refresh a new invite link. But you can join us over there. It's so much fun talking about these things, talking about other series as well. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and at the moment, the 100 in specific are the ones that are really hot topics on my Discord server. So if you ever want to join us and have fun, that keeps discussing stuff and enjoying the ride together, and you might actually love it. So if you want to go for it, it's gonna be fun. The more, the merrier. The other thing I want to say over here is that, like I said, I'm going to be posting my review video in 8 to 10 hours max, so stay tuned for that. The same applies to the 100. See, I didn't say the 100 this time, but the same applies to the 100. Yes, Maria, we can do that, and I can actually post the link on my YouTube channel in case fans want to join us on Discord for a live viewing on that day. I am not really certain I'm going to be able to make it that day, but it's all dependent. I'm going into a very scary period at work over the upcoming period, like got budgeting time and all of that stuff. So it's a beautiful time for me. Feel like ending my life when I go through that period. But anyway, it's going to be a fun work period for me, an annoying period, but nonetheless. I'm going to try to join on that day, and we can set it up, and you can take the lead on that, Maria, if you want. You're there on Discord, and it's all yours for the taking if you want to handle that over there. Let me know, guys, if there is anything you want me to talk about in future videos about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm not going to be doing many videos anyway. It's just going to be this one, maybe a ranking video of the seasons or the top 10 episodes, but that's it. But yeah, let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about over any upcoming videos or any upcoming live streams. Thank you all for joining today. You all have a great day, and I am sure we're all gonna end up talking later. And yeah, thank you guys. Have a great day. Thank you, Thanosium, by the way.
No, thank you very much, Geek. It was a pleasure to be added to your YouTube chat, and as always, I would just say that I would encourage anyone who's a follower or subscriber of Geek on YouTube to go check out to go check out the Discord channel, because I was just a follower of his on YouTube about a year and a half ago, and saw the Discord link and decided to check it out, and I've had an amazing time there, and I've made some good friends, and we have great discussions about, for me, primarily Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but some other stuff as well. And I can't recommend it enough, and I just want to thank you, Geek, for all you do, man. It's been a good time, man.
Thank you, buddy. It's a beautiful community that we've got over here, and it's brilliant and it's fun, and I love hanging out with all of you. It's been a great ride with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. With that said, thank you guys. We'll talk later. Thank you, Thanosian. You all have a great day. Ending the stream now. Tune in for my review later. Goodbye.
Good night.